Alright, I want to give you guys an overview of my workbench setup. So, it is my philosophy that your workbench should be treated the same way you treat your layout, in that you want to make it as good as you can. The workbench is where you spend most of your time, and it's important that your workbench is a place that you really want to be. So I have some special features on my workbench, as you can see, and I'm gonna show you what we got here. Let's get closer. Okay, as you can see, I have mirrors. Let's find a pointer. Aha! The curvable ruler. Be a good pointer. Maybe. It's a little bit bendy. But, okay, what I want you to see is, see these mirrors? Mirrors all along my workbench. 4 tracks. This is a 2-foot by 4-foot piece of particle board. The legs are 4x4s. The bracing is 1x4. On the back side, there are a bunch of 2x4s up against the concrete wall. I mainly use the 4x4s because they match my other style of building. Because next to my workbench is also my desk space, as you can see. In front of my desk is a big screen TV and a bunch of couches and stuff, where that's kind of my TV room. When I'm sitting at my desk where I do most of my painting, I have a bunch of computers to help me. One, I usually have a spreadsheet up on the middle one so that I can do any calculations. I've got a bunch of cutting mats on top of some mouse pad, and I've got a big surround sound system on the big TV. So this is a place that I like to be. I can put something on the big TV. Right now we're watching Kansas City live and some trains at a junction. Bulletin board, a bookshelf of certain books, a bunch of pens and tools and junk, and then we get over. So the main desk is a U shape, and then we move up to layout level, which is higher. Now, I probably should have gone higher, but at the same time, I mean, I'm not chest height like most layouts are. I'm waist height. So what that allows me to do is mostly look down on the trains, which is helpful. Sometimes you get to layouts where they're really high and it's hard to do uncoupling. On mine, it's really easy. Now, why do I have the mirrors? In my previous location, the workbench, and this is the same bench, just rebuilt, was on the second floor, and all of this was windows from the bench height all the way up to the ceiling pretty much. And it was great to get natural light, early morning sunlight, and it was great to get all that light in, so that, I mean, it was highly motivating. And when I started this, came down to the basement, and I thought, well, I'm going to miss those windows. So I put mirrors up to fake it. Those are kind of my windows. And it makes working actually much more enjoyable. Now above it, I've got a giant bulletin board. And I keep on the bulletin board stuff that I might need to look at. I've got a drill index chart and things that I'm working on, some some various plans and things that I might need to know. I tack stuff up there as I'm working on it, so that I can just look up and reference that. Now, as you notice, I don't have a bunch of stuff stored. Where are the paints? Where are the tools and things? I only have the bare minimum tools that I use all the time. Plus, I put the milling machine on this outcropping. Now over there I have a separate table for the drill press, the lathe, grinder, all that stuff on a separate workbench. I have a separate workbench with shelves where this bulletin board would be. Alright, train coming. I have a separate workbench that stores all of the paints, glues, and things. Alexa, cancel.
Okay.
Alright. Back to business here. Now I've got 4 tracks. My workbench is an industry on the layout. This industry is a heavy-duty repair shop. As you can see, I've got a bunch of flat cars and gondolas here. Now when I take something apart, I've started doing this. I've started putting those parts into a gondola. As you can see. Things that I'm working on that I want to get finished, I put all their parts in gondolas, and then I've got them on the tracks. When I want to clear the tracks, I just get some locomotives and pull them back out on a layout. And I'm trying to make that a policy now. Instead of having parts everywhere, I've got them in gondolas, and I can move them around with the trains. If something breaks down on the layout, it gets put on a flat car and brought immediately and delivered to the workbench. Now you see all those bolts lined up? People, what are those for? I use those all the time as things for holding parts in place. When I'm gluing. Having all of those, and I empty that whole row of all those at one time many, many times. I just emptied all of them a little while ago to repair a box that needed to be glued together. I keep my NMRA gauge and my 256 tap and drill over there. I also have a soldering iron and a moto tool. I also can cut power to a track on the workbench right there. So I have a track on the back side. I can park a locomotive on and then cut the power to it, just in case. I've been putting these everywhere. Under the workbench, I've got a Tech 2 power pack, and I've got it's a craft cart with drawers on wheels. So I can move everything out from underneath the workbench, and I can look for parts to drop on the floor. I have found that using a laser pointer like this, rolling it around the floor, has helped me find parts. A lot. Little parts that are hard to find, laser pointer helps me. I've got all my soldering stuff in a cart with wheels. Over there you see another craft cart. That cart holds all of the things for building, installing couplers, all of the various screws, nuts, bolts, washers, everything. It also contains trucks and wheel sets, and it's on wheels. And it gets stored under the layout. One of the rules I wanted to set for myself was nothing gets stuffed under the layout and just sits there. Everything has to be on wheels that can be moved out. I can mop the floor. It keeps the dust down. The concrete floor has been sealed with acrylic. And boy, did that cut the dust down. There is like almost no dust down here since I put acrylic on the floor. And it cost me like $18 for a bucket that did everything. So I put acrylic everywhere, and it was great. Now, let's see, what else do we got going on over here? Other features. Having the 4 tracks is it's extremely useful. 3 of them run out onto the layout. One of them is a backtrack. That's the one where I can cut the power. And it's I end up using it quite often. I have a locomotive that needs a minor repair. I want it on the track over there. I set it on the track and I cut the power to it, and I can work on other stuff. Because I do all my testing right here. And I've got a bunch of switches, 6 and 4s, that I test to see if I can make it. Now, up above, I've got all of these cheap reflector lights with LED lights in them. I've also got a power strip and a power strip right there, and a third one with the soldering iron connected to it. That one, I can turn the soldering iron on and off up on the ceiling, and I can leave it. But as a safety feature, when I turn off the lights down here, it cuts power to the entire workbench. It cuts power completely, so nothing can be left on. And that light switch has a red indicator light on it. So even if it was totally dark, because these lights up here all can be turned on and off as needed. It cuts all the power to that, and then I know I'm safe. I didn't forget the soldering iron or something else, glue gun, whatever it is. Power's off. I also put up in the ceiling, every light fixture is on a pull chain, so it can be turned on and off as needed. Not only that, there's basically an outlet for every single light. There's an outlet in the ceiling. And I'll tell you what, having ceiling outlets it's much better than having wall outlets. There's nothing I like more than being able to work on my track, and if I'm using a soldering iron or a moto tool to clean track, to do feeders and stuff, the cords hang down from the ceiling. That's a pretty big one. That has been extremely helpful. And having everything in carts, so everything can be wheeled out. The whole floor can be cleared. There is nothing stored under the layout that cannot be wheeled out. I have another cart way over there that's got just nothing but track stuff in it. It's got all the wiring, anything electrical. It's got rail. I store my jigs for building fast tracks. That's in there. But that is basically my whole workbench philosophy. And I got this stool from a used office supply store. It was from a hospital. It's adjustable in height, and it's on wheels. I can wheel it around and use it wherever I need to use it. So if I'm doing electrical or if I'm doing something, I can work at the workbench. Or I can switch over to my desk for doing things that take more time, like painting. But having everything, I just started doing this with the flat cars and the gondolas, and it has worked out fantastic. Now, if I don't want, these motors are all set up and ready to go. There are 2 mounts that are ready to get new motors. Now I can take them out of here. These gondolas are full of parts from different locomotives that are under construction. They can be cleared off the workbench and brought in as needed. The flat cars, there's an SD90 right there that needs to be fixed up. That thing's going to get stripped down and rebuilt. And it's on these flat cars. So I've got short ones. There's the SD24 that we have to do. That's going to be its own video. We got to rebuild that thing for the SD24 that we hand painted. So we're going to do that. So basically that's it. Make your workbench as nice of a space as you can. Put time into it. Oh yeah, the 4x4s. Why 4x4s? Where the 4x4s are located, that is a hard point. If I need to pound something like wire or metal, I've got a spot there I can pound. I can pound over here on the corner, Or I can turn around behind me where I've got another basic workbench setup that's part of my desk. And on the corner is a 4x4 where you can pound. You don't want to pound in the middle of your desk. You know how that goes. You don't want to be using the ball peen hammer on some metal in the middle of your desk. You want it on a hard point. And the hard point's extremely useful. And basically that's kind of my philosophy on Workbench. Make it a space that you like to be in. The more you like to be here, the more work you get done and the better work that you do. So that's my heavy duty workbench. And incorporating it into the layout as a destination, as an industry, that's fantastic. Things break down. On a flat car they go. Dispatch a special train and drop them off at the workbench. It works out great. And it happens during operating sessions. So anyways, leave your comments. See if you want to see more or see any other stuff. There are still tons of workbenches around here. We've still got that one over there. That's my drill press station. We can talk about that. It's got a bunch of hard points, and it's got a bunch of outlets and extra stuff. And then I've got the storage workbench. Workbenches everywhere. Everything on wheels. That's kind of how I do this. That way, the thing I want to avoid is having giant piles of storage under the layout that get forgotten. Another one of my things is try not to put things, especially like freight cars and locomotives, into drawers or things where you cannot have your eyes on them, because then you forget what you have. And believe me, that's easy to do. Alright, well that's all I got for now. We'll come back with something else later.